Hey, dailies across the world. I'm so glad you could join for a special edition of the Driven Daily Show, a show that promises to keep you driven on a daily. My name is Randall, and today we have a guest that's really going to give us a treat. You are in for a treat today, dailies. I've got a guest. She's a life strategist, an author, a podcaster, and one of South Africa's top motivational speakers. Dailies, let's put our hands together and let's give her a Driven Daily welcome. And let's welcome none other than Lucia Dramat. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. What a lovely introduction.
Lucia, it's been a joy seeing your journey over these years. I've been watching you from afar, and I've seen you recently, of course, on your favorite morning TV show, and also on your favorite radio station. And people, you've been here for a while. It's been a minute. Hey, you've been creating content for a minute now.
I absolutely have. But I guess that's how it is with every career. You put your toe in the water, then you start figuring it out, and then you find your sweet spot.
No, absolutely. Lucia, I'm glad you're here with us today. We're really going to give our listeners a treat. I'm excited because I know I'm going to be blessed out of my socks. And I can't wait for the end.
I hope so. Yeah. I want to live up to it.
Oh, man. And I can't wait for the end because this is the first time we're going to be playing this kind of game on the show. And I thought, what a better game to play with, with a guest that I think will really excel. So let's start from the beginning. First of all, aren't you just happy about South Africa and how we are doing right now in the world?
I'm telling you, South Africa's in the winning streak and I'm loving it. I think all South Africans are loving it. I mean, if you pop onto social media, if you go anywhere, that is the topic of conversation, the Tylers, the Trevor Noahs, what we're doing in sport, UFC, so people are celebrating.
You forgot one more name there, Lucia.
Yes.
You got your Tylers, you got your Trevors, and then you have your...
Please complete.
You have your Lucias, right?
Oh my goodness.
Come on. We're gonna speak that into existence. I'm not sure if motivational speakers get Grammy awards, but hey.
Maybe we should put some motivational speech on a nice beat. We never know what happens.
You know what? I think we have to go to Destiny one of these days and try to rap over some DJ. But you know what? Speaking about all these accomplishments, with Trevor Noah, with Tyler, this is a big old question, Lucia, and we're definitely going to get into your journey. But I just wanted to kick this off with massive value for our viewers. We all come from the same country. However, of course, the circumstances are different. It reminds me of the story, Lucia, where there was twins that was born from a drug and alcoholic parents. And one of the twins turns out, and I'm sure you probably heard this before, one of the twins turned out to be an alcoholic and a drug addict, and the other twin turned out to be a successful individual in terms of, financial and all areas of their life. And they asked the one twin, why are you the way you turned out? And the one twin said, because my mom was a drug and an alcoholic. And they asked the other one, why did you turn out the way you turned out? And she said, because my mom was an alcoholic. And it really begs the question, Lucia, we are all in South Africa. And of course, South Africa has its own challenges and there are barriers for many of us. But why do certain individuals turn out to be a success and others not?
Sure. You know what? I think there are multiple factors. I obviously always speak to mindset. And I do believe that if your mindset is directed in a specific way, then you are going to progress and you are going to advance. If you're always looking for opportunity, you're going to find opportunity. If you're always looking for what's going to go wrong and why it's not going to work out, then you're going to find that as well. But I do believe that there are also special moments that come on our path as we go in life. And these moments are times where basically you were handed a key and you must use it to unlock a door, and it may be a teacher that says to you, you know what, you've got more potential. And if you focus on this, things could change for you. So one person hears that, they handed that key and they say, you don't know my life. And they throw the key away and they go on and they keep going on that path. and someone else takes that key and it unlocks something for them. And they're like, oh my
Mm.
goodness, I can have a better life. Really? Is that possible? And so now they start seeking out the better life, even within the challenges. So I do think there are keys, there are moments. And if you grab hold of those moments and you allow it to unlock something for you, then you step up and you step up and you step up. And this momentum happens, and you'll see it with a lot of people. They go in a specific direction, and then there's a pace that comes. And then all of a sudden, things happen quickly for them. In the beginning, it took long. Now it happens quickly.
Yeah.
And it happens quickly because the momentum is there. And so they unlock those doors until they get into that flow of momentum where things happen with a pace. And that is why I believe some people are able to just shoot out and do something amazing.
Yeah.
And then other people stay stuck in their circumstances and situations and think there's no way out for me, when there are neighbors, brothers, siblings that made it out.
So true. You mentioned one key there, Lucia. You mentioned there was special moments where, for example, a teacher spoke life into him or her. And I truly believe what you are doing, Lucia, in terms of your speaking and the mission that you have for your life, you are, quote unquote, being that teacher for someone else to say, hey, you can do it. Now, speaking about teachers and growing up, what was life like for you growing up, Lucia? Because I've tried to do my digging. However, I think this might just be the digging I'm going to be doing right here. What was the life for Lucia like growing up?
I'm the eldest child. So I think I've always been a very independent person, and I've always been someone that likes to plan stuff and get involved and do things. So from quite a young age, I was always part of, planning, what are we going to do this weekend? What are we going to do as a group in our friendship circle? We live near the beach in Somerset West. That's where I grew up, Gordon's Bay, Somerset West. So we're always planning to go to the beach and, doing these different things. I grew up in quite a lovely small town, Gordon's Bay, and everybody knows each other there. We went to primary school there, and then going into high school, it was just quite a broad and different world, because now all these little communities had people going to this high school. So it was meeting a lot of people. I won't say that I was academic at all. I think I was more of a social butterfly than an academic. Okay. Not even social butterfly, but a social person. And, connecting with people, planning events, getting involved, doing that type of thing. I was always on the committees, the planning committee and this committee. And so that's where I found my joy. And then I will say there was a teacher, and he was the business teacher, and he made it his mission. You could see he was a purpose-driven person. And so he made it his mission to pull kids aside and tell them, come on, you know what, you've got more potential than this. Really? You should really focus on your potential. And so I think he really tried. And those little whispers, those little things that he said actually made a difference. And
what was his name?
For me, especially. His name was so weird. Now I know him in my adult life, and I still can't bring myself to just call him on his name. It was Mr. Patterson Bacon. But now it's Basil, and I almost stutter when I say Basil. It feels kind of weird.
That respect level. Yeah.
Still need to go to Mr. Patterson Bacon. But an absolutely lovely, lovely teacher that really tried to inspire the youth, and did inspire me for sure.
So that was in high school, right? He was your teacher. Okay. And in high school, were you always wanting to become what you are right now? What was kind of the dream back then?
To be honest with you, I didn't even really know what I wanted to become. When I was young and I was growing up in primary school, we had this TV show that was launching in Cape Town. So all the TV shows in South Africa were in Johannesburg. Okay. And so they were having this TV show that was starting in Cape Town. And we were like, wow, here's a channel in Cape Town. And they were looking for kids to be presenters. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is my moment. I have to audition. So they went around to the schools and they were auditioning people. And I auditioned and I didn't get in, but 2 people from my class made it onto the TV show. And if you think of the entire Western Cape, there are so many schools, so many people, and 2 people in my class became presenters on the show. It was so close. And I didn't make it onto that. And as I went into high school, I knew I wanted to speak. I wanted to plan things. I wanted to get involved. I didn't quite know what that looks like in job form. The idea of a TV presenter was very exciting. The idea of being an actor or actress is very exciting. But I didn't quite know if that was it. And I think it rather developed as I finished school and I went into life, and I kind of started finding where I want to put my energy.
Wow. I can just imagine, out of the whole of the Western Cape, 2 people in your school. What a cheeky moment right there. Why couldn't it just be me?
It was so close, but
Yeah.
no cigar.
Oh, man. I remember when I was still back home so I grew up in Cape Town to Kensington. I lived there for about 24 years and then moved over to Canada. And I remember Crazy had auditions. You remember Crazy?
Yes, well, that was the station.
How ironic, eh? Yeah.
It was the first kids TV show in Cape Town.
Yeah. But it then begs the question, Lucia, I know you are currently, you're doing a segment on the radio, and, you do appearances on TV. Is that, I'm sure it's tickling your fancy when it comes to, hey, I'm still living my dream with being in media, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love media, and I was a breakfast radio presenter. So from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. every single morning for 3 years until I was pregnant with my twins, who are now 1 year old. But then I took a break from radio, and I didn't feel that I could do it right now in this season with a kid in grade 1 and then my twins who are 1 year old. I just felt like it wasn't the right fit for right now. So I do love media. I've always loved media. I have worked on numerous Christian TV shows, doing presenting, doing anchoring, doing vox pops, any little thing, So I've done a few things in media, and I love it. And I think I'll always love media, and I'll always create some kind of space for myself in media, because media and motivation has been the 2 primary pillars in my life, if you will, for the past decade.
Man, what a journey. And speaking about a journey, you mentioned twins. Lucia, what a gift having twins. How are the twins doing? Do you mind sharing with us the journey with twins?
Oh, absolutely. They are. Okay, well, all my kids, all boys. So my household is very, very busy. It's balls and bats and soccer balls, tennis balls, all sizes, just all over the place, cars and Legos. But it's been quite a journey. So we definitely weren't expecting it. We thought we'd add to the family. My son's getting older. He's almost grade 1. It's time now. And I thought I was having the daughter. So here's my son. I'm going to have the daughter. This is it. And when we went to go check it out at the doctor, we saw there were 2 babies. And we were both shocked and stunned because we don't really have twins in our direct family line. So this was literally out of nowhere. And yes, here they come. And eventually we found out there were 2 boys as well. And so, yes, this house full of boys, lots of laughs, lots of craziness. It's been a year of sleepless nights.
I can imagine.
But here we are, and I must say we are enjoying them, and it looks like I've always wanted this full life, and I always imagined going on holiday with my children and their spouses one day and having a big bubbly family, and I definitely think that's going to happen, but not without its challenges to get there.
No, indeed. I mean, I can just imagine, how having healthy kids is a blessing on its own, right? That's kind of the goal at the end. If you had to have a girl, I can just imagine what's going through your mind. You probably had the name out already. If it was a girl, I always said if I had a girl, say that again.
I had some ideas.
What's your thoughts on this name? I always said when I have a girl, I'd like to have a girl one day, and I said a name to be Stella.
All right. Well, she did get her groove back.
You know what? If that's how your response is going to, if a woman's response initially is all right, and not like, wow, that's beautiful. Drink some water.
Get her groove back. No, Stella is a beautiful name. It is beautiful.
No, I hear you. When you say Stella got a groove back, the name Stella sounded so old. I don't know, for some reason. Apologies to all the Stellas out there.
Well, it is a beautiful name. I actually do have a friend. Her nickname is Stella. Well, her name is Crystal, but her nickname is Stella.
It's Stella. No, awesome. So then after high school, you taken us through the journey. After high school, how did it develop into you going into the line now that you are in right now in terms of coaching, content creation, author, podcast, etc.?
Yes. Well, I studied public relations.
Okay.
That is what I studied. And I quite enjoyed that. And my first job following public relations, I did trainings and I worked for a weight loss company. And so we traveled the country training the new consultants, one of those companies where you have consultants, they sign up and they sell the products and the program. So I had to train. And, my boss at the time said to me, Lucia, this is the presentation. I'll never forget. It was 396 slides. And I had to remember this. Yeah, I'll never forget the number. So there was the portion that was about the product. There was the portion about marketing and sales. And there was the portion about becoming a consultant and being an entrepreneur. So I had to train these consultants for a day and a half training, 396 slides. And I had to learn that. And so in learning how to present that and to memorize all of that and build the confidence to speak to, being 22, 23, and then speaking to ladies in their 30s, 40s, even in their 50s with authority and with confidence, was always like, okay, how am I going to tell them how to live their lives? I'm 23, they've lived, but I had to build the confidence to do it. And so that is where I learned presenting and training and facilitation and those type of things. And eventually I had that skill and I knew I wanted to make an impact and make a difference. And so I would start speaking at different places, churches, women's teas, and people would invite me. Oh, we heard you spoke there. Would you come speak to our ladies? And it would be very much on a kind of hobby kind of space, like a free time. Yeah. Let's just go and do this. And in the meantime, I was actually doing volunteering at our church for the media department, doing some presenting for the media department. Okay. And through that, somebody was starting a TV show for one of the Christian networks. And I said, do you know a presenter? And they were like, there's this girl at our church. You should get her to come do some stuff. And that was kind of my first segue into doing some actual TV work. And it basically evolved from there. So the speaking over here and there within the corporate world, it was training, development, traveling, learning how to, give awards, certificates, planning gala events, doing all of that within my career. And then on the other side, the volunteering led to actually going to present on a TV show. So, just step by step, you take this opportunity, it leads somewhere else. You volunteer here, it opens some other doors. Every single thing had something else it connected to. And at one point, my husband and I actually started a business, which we were so excited about, and in that business, one of the things that I did was I started this blog, which was called 50 Coffees. And the idea was to go on coffee dates with inspirational women. And at that time, people were in South Africa, especially, blogging was new, it was a new thing. People just started kind of blogging. And so I started interviewing people and I contacted people, and everyone that I contacted, I was like shocked that they said yes. Like, oh my gosh, this person actually said yes. Like, this is wild. They just say yes to everybody. What's happening here? Yeah. And I started meeting these people, and I just felt in my heart that apart from writing these articles and the interviews, I should start planning events. So I started putting women's teas together and events. And as that evolved, I felt I needed to better equip myself. So I started taking in more motivation, content, doing courses, going to Bible school, doing all these different things just to better equip myself. And the more that I learned, the more books I read, the more things I listened to. As I evolved, I wanted to share it in a way that I understood. And then I packaged it that way and put it back out in the world again. And that is basically how it's evolved. So yes, the people, the events, the content may evolve as I do, but it's basically the same story that got me to where I am today.
What a journey, and thanks for sharing that, Lucia. And those that are watching right now, we do want to thank you for giving us your heartbeat, spending your time with myself and Lucia today. So it really sounds like there's been a growth, especially when it comes to in the ministry, and how that kind of gave you a solid base. Also, when it comes to just having an audience to speak to. Just looking back at my journey to Lucia, it's crazy how the church kind of gives us a platform that not corporate would give us as a young person. We would be able to speak to hundreds of people at the church, and I'm super grateful for that. Now, it really begs the question, going through your journey, I'm sure there must have been. Was there a moment in your journey, Lucia, and this is the part of the show that we really we really pinpoint? Was there a part in your journey where there was a twist or a turn, or was there a defining moment where you actually thought, how am I going to get out of this? Was there a moment like that for you?
As an entrepreneur, we have those moments every week. But
tell me.
But yeah,
I think the better question is which moment do we choose from right now? Yeah.
Yeah. So when my husband and I started that business, a while later, the business just was not taking off. And to go into a little bit more detail, it was online music. So at the time, there were CDs, and we didn't have Google Play. We didn't have iTunes, or iTunes was here, but you had to have like the American key to be able to access the music. You couldn't access it with your South African ID or whatever. So it was just a weird situation. And so people couldn't get music digitally, and the music they got digitally was all illegal,
Yeah.
And so they would download music and just put it on these CDs. And so we created a platform where you could buy music online, digital music. And so we had connected with UMG, we had connected with some local people. And so we had quite a good catalog. But after some time, it just didn't work. And we couldn't make it work. And so it was really, really sad that it failed. And that was a really big moment. We were like, okay, we have to put this thing to rest, to say that it's over. And, if you've invested into something for 2 years and you've given your time, you've given your expertise, you've left your career and you've started this thing, and whatever finances you had, you put everything into it, and then it fails. It's kind of devastating. And it's so easy for it to become part of your identity, because everybody knew you connected to this name. Every artist that you met, it was under this name. Every connection that you've made, it was under this name. And now you have to say this doesn't count. It doesn't matter. It's nothing. So that was a very, very tough moment. And I remember when we were done, I was like, what do I do next? Like, do I get a job? Like, how do I get a job after this? I don't even know how to put that thought together. I knew I couldn't make a decision while I was there. I had to build myself up, because it was just a desperate, weird space. And I had to really focus on building my confidence. So I was eating the motivation. I was eating sermons. I was eating anything Tony Robbins put out. I was just eating anything that built my confidence, that built my clarity, that built my vision, and also separated my identity from this failure. I needed to see the two things separately and realize, hey, you still have a purpose. You still have something to do. You just had a wobble. And so that was kind of a big moment for me. And when I had built myself up emotionally, mentally, motivation-wise, I was like bursting with joy, and I just needed to share it. So I started planning things again. I started planning events. I started putting things together. And that is also not too long after that, I started with Strategist Your Outstanding Life, which is one of the annual events that I do. And so it just snowballed from there. But that was a very, very big moment. And I had to learn how to separate the two so that I could step out again. Because, when a business fails and everyone knows you for that business, then they keep asking you, so how's it going? So you have to keep telling people, well, it's not going.
Yeah.
And just remain confident while telling the story repetitively that didn't work out.
Yeah.
It's a juggling act. But, we got through that. I got through that. And I must say, it's been one of the stories that I share the most. So it's definitely been a defining big, huge moment within my career and my confidence to put myself out there.
That's awesome. The same story that wat maak jy my keel vandag? It's vroeg in die oggend. The same story that was a miserable event in your life is now becoming the trophy story. Now, one thing you said there, which I really loved, and I really love you to expound on this, Lucia. You said that, you know, you were going through the tough time, and then, of course, you had to build your confidence by consuming all this content because you said, and I quote, because you had to identify yourself separate from your situation. Can you share with us like the importance of that? Because that's a wow moment right there.
Yeah, well, I think that so often we look around ourselves and we see where we are and we think it is who we are. And that is so not true. If that were true, then mindset wouldn't matter, you know. But mindset does matter, because if you are able to elevate your mindset, you are able to elevate beyond your circumstances and beyond your situation. So for me, a lot of people that I work with, I see that their identity has kind of merged with their challenges. They see themselves that way. And often when they have to, I tell them, write the story. If your life was a movie, just write the story down for me. And, you know, they become the drama in their life, or they become the tragedy, or and that becomes kind of their core story. They're either waiting to be saved from this terrible thing that has happened to them, or they just constantly overlooked, or, you know, any of those things, they become it. They don't separate themselves from it. And when you are able to separate yourself from it, then you can move past it. But you can't move past it if it is you. You know, if it is you, it's going with you everywhere. I once heard someone say, why would you carry a dead body around with you? It starts to stink. It's heavy. But some people carry a dead body around and they keep walking with it, and they're stinking up the joint, and they don't know why. People stay away from them. So you have to let go of the dead body. You have to bury it. You have to give it your mourning. You can mourn, you can whatever, and then you say goodbye, and then you have to move on. Now you can hold on to the great memories from that person or that moment in your life, or what you learned, the credibility which you can take from it, the lessons which you can take from it, even the joys of the moment that you can take from it. And I mean, having your own business, and the amazing times was amazing, so now you want to hold on to that feeling, but holding on to that feeling makes you carry around this dead body, and you attach yourself to it. So by just separating, you can actually move on. Now you can pick up other things. Your hands are free to move on.
Powerful stuff right there. If you're watching and you're wondering what's stinking, just make sure it's not you carrying around that dead body. Lucia, just make sure it's not you over there. Just give yourself a check right there. And thank you so much for spending your time with myself and Lucia and giving us your heartbeat today. We've got around just under 30 minutes to go, Lucia. Where's the time flying? Now, you know, it reminds me of that quote that says, wherever you go, there you are. And it's just so fitting with what you're mentioning, that sometimes you want to go and say, hey, if only I'm in a different country, if only I'm in Hawaii right now, laying on the beach. But you don't realize that same angry, frustrated, miserable self is going to follow you to Hawaii, sipping your pina colada, wondering where are these men with these palm trees going to fan me off. But hey, that's another podcast.
Goodness.
It begs the question, Lucia, though. You mentioned when you came out with your transition out of your with that low moment that you had, you sought out advice, you sought out inspirational content. What was the driving force for you searching? Like, how did you know, hey, I need to consume Tony Robbins' book, I need to consume self-help content right now? Was it someone in the family? How did you know this was the route to take?
You know, I grew up in the church, so, you know, we would always listen to sermons. So I was familiar with the Miles Monroes and the, you know, the great speakers, biblical or Christian speakers, if you will. And I knew that there was there was more. We sometimes box ourselves in and we only listen to the same speaker for the entire 10 years of our lives. But I do believe that there are seasons and there are speakers that speak on specific topics, and you find yourself in different speakers. So you have to connect with people that speak to you in the season that you are in. So, for example, if you are in a breakup season, you want to speak to someone who understands breakups and relationships. You're not wanting to speak to someone who's going to speak on finance in that moment. So you have to connect to the person who speaks to you where you are. And that relatability or that connection or rapport really can connect with you, and then you can elevate. But if you never connect, you can't elevate because you're not connecting with the person. And so I just found that, hey, I'm going online, I'm listening to motivational content. You pick up little snippets and you go down that little rabbit hole, and I find, oh my goodness, this really speaks to me. This really speaks to me on this level. This really connects with me. This is telling me something I didn't know. This is challenging my thinking in a way that I didn't realize before. So I want more, I want more, I want more. And as I was doing that and I was practicing these exercises that they give you, I was asking myself the questions they posed. As I did that, I started to feel like, oh my goodness, something's happening. I feel hopeful. I feel excited. And I've always had this strong sense of my life is here for a purpose. Like, I'm not on this earth just to be on this earth and die. No, I have to make a mark. I have to make a difference. I don't have to be the loudest, the greatest, the biggest, but I do have to make an impact. And so by listening to that content, it just stirred up that desire to make an impact. And the desire to make an impact is definitely the thing that keeps me going, because even when things don't work out, I say, okay, it didn't go this way, but did I make an impact? Yes, I still did. It didn't go as amazing as I wanted it, but did I make an impact? Yes, I definitely made an impact. So everything that I do, did I make an impact? Did I make an impact? And knowing that I did make an impact, I can feel happy. I can feel satisfied. Sometimes we set these huge goals and we even have this perfectionism, and it keeps us from doing anything. But I can't base my actions on perfectionism. I have to base my actions on impact. And if it comes down to impact, then it doesn't really matter. Is it one person? Is it 5 people? Is it 25 people? One of my clients just messaged me this morning, and she was like, last night she did her first fitness training group. So she studied fitness, but she got a corporate job. She loves fitness. She exercises every day. She's given people advice, and all of this. And she kind of wants to get out of the corporate space, but she was too fearful to step out. And she said she did her first class. She had 12 attendees, and the energy was insane, and it was amazing. And so knowing, hey, doesn't matter what, I have someone who's worked with me and stepped out and now impacted 12 other people. Impact, purpose. That is the driving force always, and even when I feel discouraged, that is the thing that picks me up and makes me feel motivated again. You make an impact.
So true. And I think this helps us because I think this is a human trait, Lucia, where the perfectionism, especially with social media now, we need to make sure everything is in place because it's going online. And that, I think they call it analysis paralysis. We just get debilitated because we want things to be perfect. And it's such a good reminder. And thank you so much for us that's watching, that it's not so much about perfectionism. It's about impact. Whether it's 1,200 people or 2 people, are you making an impact? So, man, I couldn't agree more. You alluded to this whilst you were talking, but I want you to hear, and I'm sure the listeners wants to hear also, what keeps Lucia motivated right now? I know the kids are there and the kids are a given, but if we could put the kids aside, the adorable kids right now, what keeps you motivated, Lucia?
Yes, purpose. Purpose is really a big part of my motivation. And sometimes people get lost in this whole purpose thing. What is my purpose? And it becomes so haunting. And this thing that kind of like they can't rest because they can't find a purpose, so they can't decide or commit to anything. I sometimes just see purpose as something broad and big. And I believe my purpose is to help people along on their path, to build the confidence, to step out in their lives, to meet them where they are and help them to elevate. And that is very broad. But that is what I'm able to do in different ways, whether it is through my book, whether it is as a podcast host, whether it is going on radio, TV, or being on one of my programs. The idea is just elevating people, connecting with the people that need the keys. There are people that are ready for their keys. And if I can drop you the key, you can pick it up and unlock your next level. I'm happy. I've done my job. And it makes me feel so fulfilled, working with a client and seeing that happen. It makes me feel so fulfilled doing a talk. And then, you hear nothing after the talk. And like 2 years later, you bump into someone and they say, you know what, I was at your talk 2 years ago and you inspired me to do this, this, and this, and this. And right now I'm over here. And then you're like, whoa,
Wow.
It's just amazing. I can't believe the amount of people that I meet years later and they tell me I was here, I was there, and so you think, I just spoke at that. There was like only 60 people. What is that? Oh, this was the small thing here, the small thing there. But you don't know that those little things have really unlocked things for people and made a big impact in people's lives. And so I don't know what it is like to go to just a normal job. Nothing wrong with a normal job. My husband has a normal job, but going to a normal job, doing what you're doing and hating your job, I don't know what that is like, because I absolutely love what I do. And I'm always motivated. I'm always driven. I'm always excited. Sometimes I don't even have energy. I have like the twins that wake up, all night, and it's been crazy. But if I have an event, doesn't matter if I woke up 3 times that night, the next morning, I am in my outfit. I'm fabulous. Energy's on. I'm driving there. The music's pumping. I get there. And as tired as I was going there or whatever, when I hit the stage, the energy's there. I can't be happier. The adrenaline's there. I'm buzzing. And it's where I know I need to be in that moment. So I don't know what it's like for people that don't love what they do, but I adore what I do and it energizes me.
That's wonderful. You say when you have an event, you get all dolled up and everything. I see you got some good bling on your hands. What is this? Can we check out the rings that you have there? What is going on there?
You know what? Us girls, awesome. We love our little things, blings and chains.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I'm so inspired by this conversation, Lucia. I remember when I was around 12, 13, or not 12, 13, when I was in university, I used to take some of my dad's books. He was very much into John C. Maxwell and Miles Monroe. And I used to take his books with me to university, and I used to bunk classes to read the books in the cafeteria at UWC. I'm not sure if you know. Yeah. And I'm telling you this because at that moment, those moments, I knew, Lucia, that there was just something more that I had to do. Like I knew there was this unwrestling spirit in me that says, I've got so much potential. I need to let it go. I don't know what to do. I don't know what direction to take, but I just know I'm destined for something great. For someone that's feeling the same way right now and that doesn't know what's the next step because they have this burning desire, what's 1 or 2 things you'd encourage this individual to do for that next step?
I would definitely say take some kind of action. I find that a lot of people read all the books, they listen to all the podcasts, they do the webinars, they do all of these things, they go to the conference, they do it all, but they never take any action. And so for everyone, the action may be different. For one person, it may be sign up for the dance class, just go to the dance class. For someone else, it may be apply for the job. For someone else, it may be go to the bond originator and let them explain to you what you need to do in your finances to be able to buy a property. Whatever it is, just take that initial action. Sometimes we are sitting on our hands, too afraid to take the action because we've already disqualified ourselves. So take an action. And the thing that happens when you start moving is you figure out what direction you should go in. As you move, no, you shouldn't go here, you should go there. Oh, I don't actually like this dance class. I should go to a different style of dance. Now I start to meet the people that I enjoy at this dance class. Now I'm making new friends. Now my social circle's growing. The next step the next step. They follow each other. And sometimes we want to see the 10 steps before we even take the first one. So take some kind of action. And with that, I'm also saying, it must be calculated. I'm not saying sell your house, try and move overseas. No, just think about it. At least just take a step. I didn't say a leap or jump or crazy risks. No, but move. Never stand still. And so that is number one. Another thing is get around the right people. And with that, you can have your friends that you are comfortable with. You can have your family that you're comfortable with. You can have people that feel good to be around them. You just enjoy because you guys get each other's jokes. You laugh at the same things. That's wonderful. Don't limit yourself to only that group of people. Find other people that are invested in your progress, because sometimes our familiar people or our feel-good people, the people who laugh at our jokes, are not the same as the people that are committed to progress. So in your life, you can have some people that maybe you don't laugh at the same jokes, maybe you don't get the same cultural vibes or whatever, but those people inspire you to want more for your life. Those people ask you the questions that make you question why you are where you are and why you're not moving. So get around those people. I have put certain people like that in my life, and they are so different to me, totally different. They don't like the things I like. They don't want to go to the places I want to go to. But when we have conversations, there are conversations that make me want to mature immediately, make me rethink why I behave a certain way or think a certain way, and make me want to elevate. And so it is important to get around those types of people. So yes, for some, it's you don't have people like that so maybe you have to get a coach. Maybe you have to get a mentor. Maybe you have to get a mentor in the workplace. If you can't just tap into sometimes relationships, maybe there's people that you're not friends, but they are on a trajectory that you like, and you're like, this is a good place. I want to connect with these people. If you can, great, because then you learn from them. Or put yourself in environments where those types of people are. Maybe it's learning a new type of sport because those people do that sport, or they are part of that club. But getting around the right people is so vitally important. And then taking action, and then constantly feeding your mindset. I teach mindset. I work with a lot of people. I do a lot of programs, but I still have to feed my mindset all the time. And I can see if I'm not feeding it consistently, I'm slipping. And then I'm like, oh my goodness, let me just get a new book. Let me just get something, because I need to get back to that level again. It's not like one and done. No, you constantly feed your mindset, because you're always going to grow. And so keep growing and keep feeding yourself.
Wow. 3 major nuggets right there. Taking massive action, surrounding yourself with people. And then the third one, that just slipped my mind, the third one right there.
The third one, they keep growing. Keep growing. Keep feeding content. Don't think you've reached some level and now you're done. No, you keep going.
Keep going. That was really powerful. And if you are watching right now, thank you so much for giving us your heartbeat, spending your time with myself and Lucia. Lucia, we've got under 20 minutes right here, and I'm excited because there's still a couple of more questions I want to ask you and a fun game at the end. You mentioned the first one, take action. I remember whilst in university, I was reading the book Awaken the Giant Within from Tony Robbins.
Yes.
Man, that book transformed my thinking. Why? Because the first chapter, and you just spoke about it now, the first chapter was entitled Massive Action. And after reading that chapter, I decided, hey, I needed to move to Canada. That was the massive action.
Oh, wow.
I was not wanting to take, because I was battling between the two. And after reading it, it gave me so much, ammunition, so much vuma to say, hey, let me do it. It just reminds me, doing a podcast myself and interviewing guests and watching your podcast, which is phenomenal, by the way. She interviews guests such as, Jamie Lee Dunberg, Hilton Peterson. With all the guests that you've interviewed, Lucia, what's one or two commonalities that you found, if any, in their journeys? Was there any thread that you can kind of pinpoint?
So many of the guests that I interviewed, and I guess that's also the type of guests that we choose for that podcast, but so many of them have gone through big struggles. big struggles. One of the people I interviewed, Thunderstorm Artiste, he was the runner-up for the Voice USA, I think it was 2021, if I'm not mistaken. And at one point, he lived in a bus with his family. That is wild, you know. He lived in a bus. And then we have Hilton Peterson. He also had his challenges. He lived in a small town, not too far from where I am, but, you know, really small town, poverty-stricken, and to see where he is today. So a lot of people have gone through challenges. And so their success is not absent of challenges. Their success had big challenges. And all of them had a moment. There's not one person who said to me, this fell in my lap. Not one person, you know, even though opportunities started coming easier, which happens with momentum, but there was a moment where they were like, no, I have to get out of this. Either I have to work hard to get out of this, or I have to do something I've never done before, or I'm going to have to do a 180. But there was some engagement moment to make something happen in their lives. And I love that. It inspires me all the time, because we all are on this autopilot journey, like, okay, this is life, this is life, this is life. And to live life at this higher level or at a different level, there is going to have to be a jump, an ignition, a big move, or something. And that is what I usually take away from that. But that is definitely a common thread.
Oh man, so true. And thanks for sharing that. It's amazing, eh? When you listen to their stories of how far they've come. And sometimes we think we've gone through the worst, but then you listen to other people's and you're like, you know what? Man, you know, it really begs the question. I know Valentine's Day is, this will probably air after Valentine's Day, but let's speak to someone right now, Lucia. There's someone that's single for a long time. And they just don't know why, because you've been in relationships and it hasn't worked. You have standards for yourselves, but not a lot of people meet the standards, and you wonder, should I lower my standards? And they're just wondering, Lord, just are you going to send me someone or not? Should I go out? Online dating is not working, and you're feeling discouraged. Can you speak to someone that's currently single, just in a state of, hey, I don't know what to do from here?
One thing for sure, I'm not a relationship expert, that I can say, but you know, I do believe that you have to cultivate the type of life that you want to have. And if you want to have a romantic life outside of someone else, now just your life is a romantic life, you have to start making your life romantic, you know, romancing your life, adding the things into your life that make it romantic and special. And sometimes we place so much pressure or expectation on someone else or this moment. You know, when I get married, everything's going to fall into place, or when this happens, when I get the promotion, when I get the job or whatever, everything's going to fall into place. And it's very much not like that. Everything falls into place when you start to put everything in place. So, you know, sometimes you just have to choose to live in the time that you are in. A few years ago, I had a friend, and she desperately wanted to have a baby. And she finally met the man she wanted. They got married, and then they were trying to have a baby. And for a couple of years, nothing was happening. And she was devastated because, you know, she wanted this baby. And she came to Strategist, actually. And afterwards, she left and she said to me, you know what? I know what I have to do. And I was like, what? And she says to me, number one, while I don't have kids, I want to do things that I couldn't do if I had kids. So I'm signing up for a missionary trip to India. I'm like, okay. So she's taking this trip to India. The second thing is she decided to give back. You know, she doesn't have her own kids, but there are kids that need love. And so she decided to volunteer at one of the local charities and just go hold the babies. Sometimes there are these moms, they're only 16 years old. There are moms that are on drugs or whatever else, and they have babies and they don't even want to hold the babies or love them. And so she goes there to hug the babies and to give the mom a gift and do those little things. And then the third thing that she said she wanted to do is prepare for when it is her time. And by preparing, that was working on her body. So Number one, signing up for going to India because she could go because she doesn't have kids now.
Yeah.
Number two, volunteering and caring for others who have something that you have that you want rather. And then the third thing was preparing for the thing that you want. And that was just so powerful. That's what she took away. And no lies. It was the same year. We do strategize in the beginning of the year around January, February. By November, and her missionary trip was in January the following year. By November, she was pregnant. And then her family was like, oh my goodness, you can't go to India, pregnant, and you're going on a missionary trip, not a holiday. She's like, no, this is the commitment I've made. I'm going. And she went in January on this missionary trip. And it was just so beautiful. It was the most beautiful story. So for the person there that is single and saying, I'm in the space of my life, what do I do? I hope that can speak to you. Do something that you can do when, that you can't do when you are married. Go have fun, go explore. I mean, I'm telling you, I can't just stay out tonight and not come home. So maybe you can take an impromptu road trip and just decide, hey, I'm going on a road trip. Those are not things I can do. Those are not luxuries. I have kids. We have to pack bags for days. We have to make plans. So do what you can't do when, like right now. The second thing is help and volunteer. So maybe you don't have the thing that you want, but how can you volunteer, help, serve, or celebrate in some other way this thing that you don't have just yet? And number three, how can you prepare? Sometimes we're waiting for the person to come check all the boxes, but how can you start checking your own boxes? How can you prepare? What books can you read to get in the right mindset? Step into your wife life or into your husband's zone. Start getting into that whole vibe. Start being romantic, learning how to be loving and caring and compassionate. And hopefully one day you also come back and say, hey, I did those few things a few months later. Boom.
I know, with some butter chicken on the side saying, hey, welcome to India. It's wow. What an encouraging word. One thing that just stood out of all the amazing things you said was wife life. Step into your wife life. Come on. And if you're a man, step into your husband life right there. No, it's so true. You got to become the thing you want. So I couldn't agree more. It's amazing when that woman came back to you and she shared with you the steps she was going to take after taking your strategy course. Now, this brings me to the third last question I was going to ask you. Being a life strategist and having an event, in terms of what Lucia is known for, if you could package it up in terms of what are some of the things you talk about in your life strategy course, can you give us a sneak peek in terms of, hey, someone comes to you and they say, hey, I'm going to come to your event. Can you just give me some highlights of what you do and how this can help?
Absolutely. Most of what I do and in some other ways always connected to confidence. That is the number one thing that I speak about. And so, yes, we do unpack it. And we're going to look at, where has your confidence come from previously? Is it from the right place? What is your identity? And then clearing that out, making sure that your confidence is actually rooted in the right things, that your identity is not connected to the wrong things. And once we've already cleared that out, then yes, there's practical tools and there's tips and those things that we work through as well. But specifically with Strategize, a few years ago when I started, I actually had a scripture, and it was Nehemiah 4:17. And I'm going to just paraphrase it, but essentially what it was saying that the nation at the time was being attacked and their walls were being broken down and they had limited resources. And so everyone had to, with one hand, build the wall and with the other hand, wield their weapon. So you had to have a sword in one hand to protect, and with the other hand, you had to construct. And so that was the idea behind Strategize, being able to construct your life while protecting it as well. So having the sword and the brick at the same time. And so helping people build a life intentionally that they want, and then also learning how to protect themselves and their lives. And when we speak about protection, we're speaking about your mindset. What are the negative thoughts that steal your life? What are the boundaries that you need to put in place with people? What are the triggers that you need to prepare for? And what are some of the things that you can work through? I'm personally not a psychologist or anything like that, or a counselor. And so if you need help, get help. But don't sit there hurt and not doing anything about it. So essentially, I'm going to teach you how to build up your life, how to protect your life, and so that you can take the steps and move forward confidently, effectively, and make an impact in this world, as opposed to sitting back and waiting for the world to happen to you.
Oh man, wonderful. And we'll definitely leave some of the links down below of this video in terms of how you can get connected with Lucia. Lucia, we've got about 10 more minutes to go. I'm excited. We're going to get to the section of the show. Let's get straight into it. Now, I'm not sure. Are you a spontaneous individual, Lucia? Would you say from 0 to 10, how spontaneous are you?
I think I can be quite spontaneous. I think I can be, but goodness, let's see. Let's see what this holds.
So when I was back home as a kid, I used to have we used to have sleepovers at your cousins or your friend's place, right? So yeah. I used to love having sleepovers at my cousin's place, Nigel and Lorenzo. And at nighttime, we would sleep, and then when we wake up, we all slept in the same room. When we wake up, we just had so much time on our hands. We laid in bed. And we just looked around, and I'm saying this to get to the game we're playing right now. We looked around, and we call this game Revelations, because we all grew up in the church. My pastor's kid, right? So Alice is no cake now. We would look around, and we would look around at simple things, but we would try to get to revelation. So when we look, for example, at a door, we would then get a revelation by just giving a small motivation by saying, hey, God stands at the door and knocks. So we got to use that word in a little bit of a motivation. So that being said, I'd like us to do something similar where you give me a word. Anything you see around you, I give you a word, and you just say something very short and use that word in a motivation.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. Okay.
Awesome. So I tell you what, you go first, and then I'll give you the honors, and then I'll ask you after.
Okay. Let me give you something. I don't want to be too difficult, but also okay. Seeing that it's so hot in South Africa, I'll give you the word a fan.
You know what? You're gonna have many fans in your life, but you've got to decide to have the right fan in your life. You're going to have a fan that's a cheap fan or an expensive. What kind of fan do you want in your life? Now, you know what? That's a silly one, but hey, listen, we got to do what we got to do.
We got to do what we got to do. We got to do it.
We'll go deeper. I like this. Okay. So let me give you one. Light.
Ooh, okay. I mean, if I go scripturally off the bat, you know, you're not going to put a light under a beaker. A light is said to be on the top of the hill, and you have to let your light shine. And talking about light, that is actually what my name means. Lucia means light. And I love that, because you shine a light and you help other people see their way. So your light is not for yourself. Your light is for other people.
Bishop. Come on.
There you go.
No, awesome. So we're gonna let's go a bit deeper this time. Okay, come on, right. Give me one.
Should I give you another one? Water.
You know what? We are searching for a lot of things in our lives. Some people go to the club. Some people twerk. However, the only thing that will quench your thirst is the river of life. Can I get a witness in this house? Can I get a witness? Okay, one more for you, Lucia.
Love it.
Awesome. One more for you. Sunglasses.
Ooh, okay. Well, let me say this, as we look outside, it's bright. It's bright, but sunglasses have two purposes. Yes, they can, if your future's bright, you pop those sunglasses on and you look at your future and you keep going, girl, and you don't look away. But on the other side, sunglasses can also protect you, can protect your vision. And your vision is vitally important. You do not want to hurt your eye, because if your eye is hurt, you don't see correctly. So pop those glasses on and make sure you look straight ahead.
Come on, let's give it up for that one. That's an awesome one right there.
On my toes.
This is awesome.
I like this game. I like this game.
Yeah, I think it's probably going to be a segment on some show one day. But you know what, Lucia? I do value your time, and we've got 2 more minutes left. I did want to end off the show just by asking you. South Africa is watching right now, and there are individuals back home in SA that, and over here in Canada too, that life is just hard. The cost of living is rising. Rent prices are increasing. Groceries prices are increasing. Everything just seems to be very overwhelming right now. For the people of South Africa, Lucia, any words for the people of SA as we close off?
Absolutely. I really do believe that life is never going to be perfect. And very often we look at the grass on the other side and we think that it is greener, whether that is your neighbor's grass, whether that is a different country, whether it is a different job. And we don't realize that, you can go anywhere, but you have to decide, am I going to water my grass? Am I going to feed my mindset? Am I going to make this life a good life? And there are seasons that are challenging. I mean, my husband had cancer when we were in our 20s.
Sure.
We built a house, and that in itself, I mean, we've gone through a year with twins, and there's just been seasons in my life that has been challenging. We all have seasons that are challenging, but a season isn't your whole life. And some people camp in a season. So don't camp in a season. Decide to elevate your life. Decide to choose better for yourself. If someone wronged you, decide you're not going to live in that wrong. You're going to live above that wrong. And so, yes, everything's not going to be perfect. And yes, we live to fight another day in the things that are important to us, in our priorities and in the areas that we need to fight. But don't stand still in life. Keep moving, keep growing, water your grass, water your life, cultivate the family, the relationships, the friendships that you want to have, because yes, money puts a lot of pressure on all of us, and all of us want to live financially at that wonderful level. And many of us are so blessed to live where we live already, but money is not the everything. We want the money so that we can spend time with our families, but when we're with our families, we don't want to spend time with them.
True.
Start to cultivate those relationships and start making the moments good where you are, because that's what it's all about. Money and those things are tools. And although they do put pressure on us, they're not the big thing in life. They're just the tools in life to give us the type of life we want. So get clear on the life you want and cultivate that.
Wonderful. Lucia, how are you feeling?
Good. How lovely it was to speak to you. I so enjoyed this. I could probably do this for another 2 hours. Even that game, I was just getting warmed up.
Oh man, I'm glad you enjoyed our time. I really enjoyed it. You really added so much value. Our dailies that's watching right now, weren't you blessed? As we always say, we're not here just to survive. We are here to thrive. Lucia, life strategist, author, motivational speaker, podcaster. We'll leave the links below. Thank you so much, and bless you, eh?
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for everyone watching.
Awesome. Until next time.
Till next time.